Hi guys, welcome back to Meathead. Today I'm going to show you my very British version of a spaghetti bolognese. So we've got some really simple ingredients here. Not a lot goes into the bolognese. I've just got some finely diced onion, some finely diced celery, and some finely diced carrot. Now there's a video up on the website of how you dice these vegetables, so go and check that out and then it'll show you how to do these. This is what we call a Mirepoix of vegetables, and this is a really basic base to so many different dishes, mainly soups. If you're gonna eat a soup, it's probably got a Mirepoix. It's a very chefy term. But it's also good here because it gets to cook with the mince and it breaks down, and the flavor from all of the different vegetables impart into the bolognese, and it's delicious. I've also got some fresh oregano, which I've bought, but you can just use dried oregano, use exactly the same amount. There's about 2 tablespoons there, and it does just as good a job. I've got some of my Butcher's 5% mince. The 5% mince from the Butcher's, I would say, is the better choice, but of course, again, you can use supermarket mince. You have to bear in mind the fact that there can be a little bit more added water, so it takes a little bit of extra cooking. I've got tinned chopped tomatoes, 1 beef oxo cube, half a bottle, a mini bottle of Malbec here. Just gonna use half of that, some tomato puree, and a little bit of my pureed garlic, my friend pureed garlic. So all of this stuff gets cooked off. It's a little bit of work at the start of the dish, but then you leave it to cook for quite a long time, and it ends up being a nice, delicious mince dish at the end. So let's get started. Okay, so first thing, get the pan lovely and hot like we normally do. Get some oil in there, get it nice and warm. What you want to do first is you want to fry the mince off. So get all the mince into the pan. Now, with this 5% mince, the Butcher's mince, you don't need to do this as much. I'm going to do it just for the purposes of showing you. But you can actually fry this mince off and almost no liquid will come out of it because it's from the Butcher's. But if you're going to buy the mince from the shop, because they have the water out at this stage, a lot of the water would come out of the mince. So you want to drain that off because you don't want that to be sitting and floating on top of your bolognese once you've cooked it. But what you want to do is get this in and get it all browned off. So as you can see, this is now browned off. There's a little bit of liquid in the bottom. If you keep cooking it off, that liquid will actually evaporate away. So what we're going to do is we're just going to move this mince over. Because like I said, it's Butcher's mince, so we don't need to drain this. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add in our vegetables. So put in the onion, and the celery, and the carrots. Now these will be off to the side, and we'll just start them off. Use a little bit of the liquid from the mince. You can start frying them off here. And this big pan allows us to do this. It'd be more difficult to do this in a smaller pan. In a smaller pan, I would suggest taking the mince out, starting again. I can do it here because I have this bigger pan. Also, what we'll do here is add a little bit of our garlic. Just about half a teaspoon. And we'll cook that in. And we'll wait for that vegetable to cook right down. So as you can see, the veg has started to cook down a little bit now. So make a little well in the center. This is where we put in our tomato puree. Now, put in around a tablespoon. You use quite a lot here because we've got about 400 grams of mince. So about a tablespoon. You want to cook that out for a minute because tomato puree has a really strong, acrid, acidic taste. So you want to try and cook out some of the strong tomatoey flavour. So leave that to sit on the pan, cook for around a minute, move it around, stop it from burning. Once the tomatoes had around a minute to cook, you start incorporating it into the rest of the vegetables, and you incorporate all of it together. So we'll just mix it all together now. cook it together as one whole dish. So let's keep throwing it on the floor. So the tomato puree is now cooking into the vegetables and the mince together. So you can see, talk about this Maillard reaction of the food starting to stick to the bottom. And a little bit of the brown starting to happen now, and that's good. That's exactly what we want. We want the flavour of the mince. We want that delicious fawn off of the bottom. So this is the stage where we add in the red wine. It's about half a bottle, just get it straight in. And that's going to do something called deglazing the pan. So that will take all of the stuff, all the delicious meat flavour off the bottom of the pan and incorporate it into the rest of the dish, while also adding a delicious wine flavour, which is exactly what we want. We want to cook the alcohol out for around a minute, and then we'll get in the tin tomatoes. So now's the time, if you've got fresh oregano, is to put the oregano in and get that cooked and incorporated into the mince. You want to get that flavour in there now before you add the tin tomatoes. So just get that mixed in. And now we add the tin tomatoes. One tin. And a little tip that I have, when you make your OXO cube, get the tomatoes mixed in. Also helps to deglaze the pan. When you want to measure out your OXO, you want to use around about the same amount of tin tomatoes that you put in. So use the tin as your measuring jug. Take basically one tin of beef stock. Let that dissolve, get the tomatoes cooked in. You can really smell it now, it smells fantastic. Get the beef stock dissolved. At this stage is the stage where you season it. So get loads of salt and pepper in here. Put the lids off. Loads of salt and pepper in. Before you put in the beef. So like I said, a little bit of work at the start to get everything together, get everything in the order it needs to be in. Once it's at a certain point, you can just leave it. To be quite careful because the tin will be hot as it has boiling water in it. So use the tin. There we are. The beef stock in the bottom. It looks like a lot of liquid now, but the plan now, once it's all incorporated, is to leave it to sit, get the liquid boiling as it is, turn it down to a medium simmer, and we'll leave it cooking for around an hour. Okay, so this has been cooking for around an hour, and as you can see, the liquid's really reduced down. It's a lot thicker. The meat's all cooked into the sauce, all the veg is softened, and it's a nice meaty sauce. Let's give it a little try. Needs a little bit more salt, so like I said before, always try as you're going. And always season as you go. Need to season as the food's cooking, because at each stage you want to make sure that the salt and pepper is getting into the food correctly. So that should be plenty for the amount of meat there. And that's it. And now we'll get some pasta cooked and we'll plate that up. Okay, so this bolognese has been on for around an hour and 15 minutes. And it's cooked right down, reduced right down. There's nice meaty sauce. And actually, the traditional way of doing this is to not actually add too many tomatoes. You want it to be a meaty sauce, not a tomatoey sauce. So I cooked just a bowl of spaghetti, and we'll just spoon a little bit over the top. And at this point, you could put anything on here. It's parmesan, a little bit of extra basil, Mince is also really, really good. You can make it into a lasagna. This is perfect base for a lasagna. You can put it in bags, freeze it. You can keep it for 6 months in the freezer. Lasts 4 days in the fridge and it's absolutely delicious. So here we are, spaghetti bolognese. Give it a go.